Imagine building your own supercar in the 70s, using parts from Alfa Romeo, Ferrari, and Jaguar, not in a large factory, but as a personal dream project. That is exactly how the Marciano 268A was born. Created by Italian engineer Vincenzo Marciano, the car became one of the most unusual one-off sports machines ever built. Inspired by the golden age of Italian performance cars, Marciano wanted to design something that looked like a racing prototype, but could still function as a road-going coupe. The result was a sleek, low two-seat machine that visually echoed legendary Italian sports cars of the era. Although it resembled the famous Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale, the Marciano 268A was actually a completely independent construction, built almost entirely from scratch and assembled with components from several manufacturers. It represented the creativity and determination of a single passionate engineer. Even decades later, the car remains one of the most fascinating forgotten projects in the history of Italian automotive engineering. The man behind the project, Vincenzo Marciano, belonged to a generation that witnessed the explosive growth of Italian sports cars during the late 60s and early 70s. It was the era when cars like the Lamborghini Miura and the Ferrari 365 GTB4 Daytona dominated automotive dreams, while brands such as Maserati and De Tomaso were producing increasingly exotic machines. Marciano had worked in several companies connected to the automotive industry, and even learned from renowned engineer Giotto Bizzarini. Despite his experience, owning one of those legendary cars was far beyond his financial reach. Instead of simply admiring them from afar, he decided to create his own sports car. In 1972, he began the ambitious project that would eventually become the Marciano 268A, combining his engineering knowledge with the influence of the most iconic Italian performance cars of the period. The project started in an unusual way. Marciano acquired a heavily damaged Alfa Romeo Montreal that had been almost completely destroyed. The only major component that could be saved was its powerful V8 engine. Rather than restoring the original car, Marciano used the engine as the foundation for an entirely new design. Around it, he constructed a lightweight tubular frame made from chromoly steel, creating a strong yet extremely light structure. The body was then formed from aluminum panels shaped by hand. The final silhouette was elegant and aerodynamic, clearly inspired by Italian racing cars of the era. The long front, compact cabin, and flowing rear gave the car the proportions of a pure sports prototype. What started as the remains of a crashed production coupe slowly transformed into something entirely different. A unique, high-performance machine built according to the personal vision of its creator. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Marciano 268A was the mixture of components taken from various legendary cars. Marciano used parts from different manufacturers to achieve the performance and appearance he wanted. The windshield came from the iconic Ferrari 250 LM, while the distinctive headlights were borrowed from the famous Ferrari 250 GTO. Even the wheels referenced Italian racing heritage, coming from the remarkable Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. Not everything, however, was Italian. For the rear suspension, Marciano used components from the Jaguar E-Type, known for its advanced independent suspension system. By combining elements from different cars, he created a machine that was both familiar and completely unique. This unusual mixture of engineering solutions perfectly reflected the experimental spirit of independent car builders during the golden age of sports car development. At the heart of the Marciano was its V8 engine derived from the Alfa Romeo Montreal. Marciano significantly modified the engine to improve its performance. Instead of the original fuel injection system, he installed 4 Weber carburetors and added new mechanical components to increase reliability on the track. The engine featured 2 valves per cylinder and a dry sump lubrication system, a solution typically used in racing cars to ensure proper oil flow during high-speed cornering. With an output of around 230 horsepower and a total vehicle weight of only about 810 kilograms, the car promised impressive performance. Estimates suggested that it could accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in roughly 6 seconds and reach a top speed exceeding 240 kilometers per hour. For a privately built machine created in a small workshop, these numbers were remarkably competitive. Despite the ambitious design, the project turned out to be far more difficult than Marciano initially expected. Building a completely new car without the resources of a major manufacturer required enormous time and effort. As a result, the 268A remained unfinished for many years. The partially completed vehicle spent the late 70s and much of the 80s hidden away, waiting for the moment when work could finally continue. Only decades later, in the late 90s, was the project finally completed. At that time, the car also received its official name, Marciano 268A. The designation referred directly to the engine configuration, 2.6 liters, 8 cylinders, and A for anterior, meaning the front-mounted layout. When the finished car was eventually presented to the public, it appeared during celebrations marking the centenary of Alfa Romeo, giving enthusiasts a rare glimpse of this extraordinary creation. Today, the Marciano 268A remains a true automotive curiosity. Only a single example was ever built, making it one of the rarest Italian sports cars ever created. Yet its value does not come from rarity alone. The car represents something deeper, the passion and determination of an individual who refused to let his dream remain only a dream. Instead of simply admiring famous machines like the Lamborghini Countach or other legendary exotics, Marciano decided to build his own interpretation of a perfect sports car. The result was a handcrafted coupe that blended engineering creativity with inspiration from some of the greatest Italian automobiles. Even though the 268A never reached mass production, it stands as a symbol of what can be achieved through dedication and imagination. In the world of automotive history, it remains a hidden masterpiece, created far away from the spotlight.